All right, welcome back to week 2 of the LiucciCast with Sean Porter and Kendrick Rogers. Kendrick, thanks for coming from Brenham.
Got him back from week 2.
Waco. We got him back. We got a couple of little surprise guests next week on the schedule. One that played with you, one that lived with me, not Seth. We're giving him a few weeks break. You know, he gets so dressed up to come up here. By the way, congrats to Seth. I went and watched him get inducted in the Hall of Fame this weekend. Great speech. Proud of him.
That's a huge accomplishment, man.
Yeah.
Huge accomplishment.
Yeah. You know who was texting me? And we'll talk about this in a minute. Someone was texting me asking, see, now I can't do it because I don't want it to sound like he's asking if he should be in. We'll talk later on some names that, wondering should they be in and when. Maybe that'll be next week. We can talk about that.
In the Hall of Fame?
So you can do a little research.
Because
you don't know who's not in yet, you know?
Well, I mean, if you tell me who's not in yet, I'm pretty well versed in football history.
I don't know who's not in yet necessarily. I'd like to ask my buddy, like either Hunter or Mike Henderson, because they're tied in tightly to that. But
College Hall of Fame.
No, A&M.
A&M Hall of Fame? Oh, man.
So the guy that I think should be up for discussion now played with you.
Who?
Well, I don't know. Swope's not in yet.
No, Swope's not in yet.
I don't know what the time, what the year limit is, but
I mean, Johnny and Luke just went in. But they're younger than us.
Okay, so Johnny and Luke went in, so Swope's got to go in. I think Jake's already gone in.
Jake's gone in?
Swope's got to go in.
What about?
Mike went in with Johnny.
Mike went in with Johnny. Who else has to go in? I'm
Did
gonna let you keep shooting. Who else?
Well, the guy I'm talking about is Said.
Who else?
Said though O lineman get interesting, right?
Said
was like
All-American. One year All-American?
All-American. He was like 4-year starter.
15 overall pick.
50, yeah.
He's in the A&M Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's I don't know the number, but he's a top 10 O lineman to play here.
Yes, he's in the A&M Hall of Fame.
I agree.
Who else?
Okay, give me a hint.
I'll just, go down the line.
I thought you were.
You're going down the line, right?
Yeah.
There's another guy that I think 100% should be in the Hall of Fame. My teammate.
What side of the ball?
My side of the ball.
Oh, DeMontre. Yeah, absolutely.
We can't overlook that.
He had 2 incredible years.
And he had one incredible year and one monster year.
Yeah. And he was like you.
Freshman All-American.
He had him in 2 conferences.
He wasn't like me. He was better.
He was on a level.
Freshman All-American.
Yep.
Sophomore year, a good year. Good solid year. When I was having my best year, a good solid year right there.
He had a really good
His
sophomore
junior year, nasty. Yeah. Nasty. I think he's in the Hall of Fame.
His junior year numbers were better in the same conference than Clowney's were when Clowney was the number 1 overall pick.
Absolutely right.
Or I think he was the number 1 pick, right?
He was whatever.
He was a player. Yeah. His junior year numbers, the very next year that Clowney did it, his numbers were like across the board better. And that was for a top 5 team.
I don't think there's any way we can leave Trey out. I don't know what other defensive ends are in. I know Jacob Green's in there, Vaughn's in there, but
yeah, there's plenty in, and he'll be one.
Trey ain't far behind him, or he should be. I mean, he's probably better than most of them.
Yeah, he's way up there, and I'm still pissed at Mel Kiper for making him the number 1 prospect in the draft. And that was way premature, and I thought it affected the whole. We need to get him on here too.
Blew his head up a little bit. Oh, we can get Trey too.
I just think it would have been interesting. We talked about the other day, like how much money would he have commanded to come back for one more year?
NIL a bunch.
Shoot, boy, if you had that guy coming back, like 18 sacks, like it was. All right, well, this week was. We won't spend a lot of time talking about the game that was. You and I are going to talk about that in the defense in review, but we'll go quickly over McNeese, but then more importantly talk about A&M Florida. What's at stake? What's it mean? What has to happen? And then let's start with.
We also got to talk a little college football landscape.
There's a lot going on.
That's a lot going on,
right? And so let's start with McNeese. Initial thoughts.
My initial thoughts on McNeese is that we did exactly what we were supposed to do. We came out there and we kind of killed the ant with a sledgehammer, as I would like to say. That's exactly what you're supposed to do against those type of teams. When you get those games on your schedule where it's just a small team, we probably paid them a bunch of money to come out here and play us. Sledgehammer, you got to put it to them. So that's exactly what we did. I like the progression from the offense this week. I definitely like what we were doing with Connor. I like to see him sling it a little bit out there this week. I think this was a confidence builder for the whole team, offense and defense, confidence builder. So we just got to keep it rolling into the next week. But, I mean, as we all know sitting up here right now, that's not the greatest competition we're going to face this year. So we got to get even better.
Well, based on what I saw from Bowling Green this weekend, when they went up there and almost knocked off Penn State, and New Mexico State last year beat Auburn 31-10 at Auburn, I would go so far as to say that was by far the worst team A&M will see this year. But like you said, it's 38-0 at halftime. It's 35-0 after 5 drives. You take the starters out. I think at halftime it was like 300-something yards to 70. You did exactly what you needed to do.
For sure.
Same takeaway as that?
Oh, yeah. They executed well.
Yeah.
5 for 5 at one point when they got to the red zone. Like, you can't ask for anything more of the offense. I mean, you can.
Yeah. I guess the only thing you could ask for maybe would have been them maybe kind of taking the top off and hitting some big plays. I think that might be more confidence than anything, or just to let the guys or even people know we've got that vertical. That would be the only thing, and that's nitpicking because they really were.
Yeah.
You guys have played 8 combined years, or do you remember games? I know you've been a part of ones like that one. But are there any game? I know there have been in 8 years, but like a game that was a really inferior opponent that you came out and just kind of didn't really completely put away till the second half. It was just frustrating.
Yeah, definitely have one in mind right there. But one thing I want to know in this game that we did do, I know we didn't hit those long bombs that we like, but I remember last week I was talking about those mid-range shots, that 5 to 20, 5 to 15 range. We hit those. Yeah. That's progression, right? You go from having happy feet, oh crap, like I don't know what to do out here, to hitting those mid-range shots. We'll be seeing those bombs before we know it. And another thing that I noticed is Moose Muhammad. Moose Muhammad this week, hey, he was back to his old ways, right? A playmaker out there for us, somebody that looked good out there catching the ball, and the crowd loves him, man. You hear those cheers, moves, that's big. That's big time, man. Crowd control here at Kyle Field, man, there's nothing like that.
Punching people.
He did. I mean,
hey, we need some of that.
If you're gonna rip that mouthpiece out, I mean, like
don't expect nothing less. Don't expect nothing less.
Like, I saw something. I go, "What are you doing?" I look at the replay. And the guy reaches around and rips your mouth.
Right. Hey, I'm with him.
I do. I like the fight.
Defensive guys are,
But to answer your question, though, a team that did that to us, that took us in those deep waters as a pretty much underdog, was Quentin Patton and the Louisiana Tech. What are they? The Raging Cajuns? I don't know what they are.
I think they were actually. But I think they were.
I don't.
Yeah, it was Quentin Patton was the receiver, and Sonny Dykes was the head coach.
Oh my goodness!
But I think I'm going to give you a little bit. I'm just going to say you're being nice right here saying that. That was a pretty good team. I think they finished like 10-2.
They shouldn't have been in our world.
No, but it was.
Quentin Patton had the game of his life.
27-6.
We had some weird things going on that game. I think one of our safeties was out with the injury, so our
2 guys were suspended.
2 guys suspended, something like that. So our nickel had to move back to safety. We had a corner that moved somewhere, and then we had to just
17 passes.
We had a backup on him, and he's starting to cook him, and it got ugly. But
he caught 17 or 18.
That's the one we lost control of, and it was like. I felt helpless. I'm in the inside playing linebacker, like making as much plays as I can, but that guy's way out there.
17's a lot.
They can't stop him. Like the guys are standing right in front of him, pressing him. They cannot stop. He can do whatever he want to do, any route he wants.
I forget that quarterback's name because he was pretty good too.
I don't think the quarterback was good. I think Patton was good, man.
But I mean, he was
wide open.
You guys were hitting him, and he just hung in there. That was
he was tough.
I can think of one that you were in.
Which one?
I want to see if you even remember it. Because there's one that stands out to me.
Let him answer.
My freshman year?
Yeah. Let's see if he gets it. Any year. Just what do you remember any?
Was it? What Nichols was it?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the one.
They lost to Nichols?
Right? No. It was close.
I feel like we lost to a bad team.
Well, we lost App State, but that was after he was.
Oh, okay.
But But App State's more like La Tech. Like you don't ever should lose to them. Certainly not at home. But I'm talking about like McNeese, Texas State, App State. App State, like
App State and La Tech are in that same.
Or not? Yeah, I'm saying Nichols.
I think so.
Yeah, I do too. But Nichols and McNeese are in a whole different bucket. And this was the week after the UCLA loss. So it was a total hangover. Kellen had never played. That was his first start. And I'm pretty sure it was like 10-10 or 14-13.
It was close
in the
first
fourth
half.
quarter.
And then the second half, it was still close, and we finally just somehow got out the mud and just.
And then there was one year when Louisiana Monroe came in here and almost beat A&M.
That's ugly, man.
That was Kyle Allen's first start. And then the next week, A&M went out to Auburn, and Auburn was number 3, and the Aggies beat the brakes off of them. So I think early in the year, I mean, they rolled this week or whatever, but
got to find a way to out-athlete them. I mean,
they've
got better
at that point,
Well, so I want to move past that then say, okay, they didn't have a hangover from Notre Dame. That was good to see. That was like a mature response.
Right.
But, man, what do y'all think about this weekend in the Swamp? I mean, I just think this is look, it might all come together in a snap, but they're not playing like a well-oiled machine yet. But, of course, neither is Florida. I feel like this is just a gut check. You have to go down there, and no matter what it takes, you got to break that road losing streak and come back with a win. It's almost like, as far as what the season's going to look like, you've got to go get that one done.
I feel like right now, to the rest of the world, to everybody out there, that looks like a very, very even matchup right there. Texas A&M versus Florida in the Swamp looks like a really even matchup. So I think we got to go in there and, for lack of better words, drop our nuts and show those guys, who's the better team is, who the more dominant team is, who has the best players, right? We don't work so hard in recruiting to get all these great guys here to lose. So teams like that, teams like Florida, after we watch Miami, what Miami did to them, I think we should go in there and have a good showing against them.
Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it, Kendrick, is, and I'm no longer discounting Bowling Green. I mean, I put them in that App State La Tech bucket. They're a good FCS or Group of 5, whatever the heck we're calling them now. But not FCS, but Group of 5. But the reality is you're about to start conference play with Florida and Arkansas. And I know you might have Lagway at quarterback, and I want to ask you about that in a second. I know you might have the Arkansas quarterback who was at Boise who looks pretty dang good. At the end of the day, those two teams are going to combine to go about 500, maybe on a good end, a little over.
Maybe a little bit.
You got to go win those games. I mean, you've played out there. What's it like in the Swamp? You guys played out there during or it was a night game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was still. It's different. The Florida heat is real. Mm-hmm. So you got to get past that issue, the humidity. You got to get past the weather, the situation. You got to get past it and come out and just know you got to dominate. The crowd's gonna be crazy. We know it. We play at College Field. Yeah. We know the crowd. We know how a crowd should sound. So that shouldn't be a big effect to us. So once we get past the crowd, the field, all that crap, we should be fine. Just come out, execute, dominate, and figure out the deep shots. We just got to figure out the deep shots and how to beat them deep.
What'd you like at receiver or in the passing game this week?
I felt like they tried to get open more. I felt like they tried to help Connor more when he was in desperate situations that we didn't see the first week. I felt like seeing Moose on the field kind of gave, like you said earlier, gave the crowd, gave the team a little boost with his energy, that he brings to the team. And if we keep doing that, we should be good. I
like 6, 2 weeks in. I like Cyrus.
He does bring some juice.
Speaking of Louisiana Tech, he transferred from there. He's got a little juice. Did you like seeing 2 get involved offensively? Because I want to see more and more of him. I want to see more of him.
Love it.
I mentioned, Sean, the fact they might play Lagway. Okay, so the true freshman out of Will. You're coaching high school in this area. You're obviously very familiar with him. He can uncork it. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's a good player.
But you're a defender. When you guys play like a true freshman quarterback. And I think they're going to play both. So twofold question. How tough is it to play 2 quarterbacks when one's a lot more mobile than the other, like in the same game, prepare for and play? Mm-hmm. And then I'll follow up with Lagway.
Well, to play 2 quarterbacks, I don't think it's that bad. We did that back with Mississippi State back my senior year. They had, don't know the guy's name, but he was the starter.
And then they had Dak.
Then they had Dak as a freshman out there running around on us. It's really not that bad. I mean, the second guy's either not going to throw the ball or he has like 1 or 2 very specific formation-specific plays that he's going to let the ball go in. All you got to do is kind of dot your I's and cross your T's and make sure that your DBs are staying on top of everything and then just stop the run, man. Other than that, it's just normal game plan, like we're game planning against, the quarterback from Arkansas.
And then with a true freshman, does it become like, let's say Lagway's playing, does it become that much more important for this defensive front to win on first and second down, stop the run? Because I feel like if you can put him into some bad spots, Elko can really confuse a guy that's really not played college football yet.
Right. I feel like for a true freshman out there, you don't want to let him get too comfortable, right? So you want to touch him on first and second down early in the game, early drives in the game. If you do let him get too comfortable, he'll gain that high school level confidence that he has. It's kind of a youthful thing. Like, I don't know any better, right?
Yeah.
I don't know any better, so I'm going to go out here and sling that thing and just figure it out on the run. And sometimes that turns into 350 or 3 touchdowns and nasty numbers, right?
Yeah.
You don't want that to happen to you. That just popped in my head.
Yeah, no, that's
the
true.
Nebraska kid, that's exactly
Exactly
what he did against Colorado. He gained his confidence quarter by quarter, play by play. The more they let him do it, the more he's like, oh, I am Patrick Mahomes.
True. Wearing that number and everything. So, to me, I got 2 keys to this thing, and it might be, I'm going to really simplify this and say, I need to see the A&M defensive line. We'll talk about defense. I'm not worried that they haven't had sacks yet, but now Florida's going to drop back and throw. Florida's going to try to pop those big runs that the defense has kind of given up a few times already in 2 games. This week, this game, I think if A&M wins it, it's because that Aggie defensive line, with all that future NFL money and all those accolades and stuff, they go out and they're going to have to kick ass on Saturday and play like one of the best D-lines in the SEC in country. And then I think on the other side of the ball, this is a game where it's like, Connor, you're in, this is your 10th, 11th start. It's year 3. You had a bad one to start the year. You worked some of the rust off. Go out there and say, you guys can talk about Graham Mertz. You can talk about the freshman Lagway. I'm going to be the best quarterback in this game. That, to me, is the winning formula.
Right. I also want to see, on defense, that defensive line, I want to see them show gap discipline and technique discipline, right? In this game against McNeese, I saw a couple plays where these guys got a little bit sloppy. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
But I want to see them keep everything clean in the run game. And you're right, in the pass game, they need to show how good they are. Show those, 5-star attributes that everybody clamors over. Last year, we got to see a lot of that out of number 5 and number 4, the Shamars.
Yeah.
I can't wait till they wake up as a group, And of course, this is a new unit bringing in an All-American, from another school, right? And trying to implement him within an already really, really good D-line, right? There's growing pains when it comes to that. It's almost like
and a new scheme.
It's like the Heatles, bringing, all these big stars together. The All-Star team wouldn't win the championship,
The who's?
The All-Star team. The NBA All-Star team?
Who are the Heatles?
The Heatles, LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
The Heatles. Yeah. I was like the Heat. I don't know if I ever remembered hearing them called the Heatles.
So it's like bringing all these great stars together. It's tough for them to figure out how to share and how to help each other and how to pick and play all these D-line games that they need to play in order for all of them to be great as a unit. So I'm excited to watch them grow. I think that this will happen in SEC play.
Yeah, I do too. And I think, Sean, don't you think? Tell me, am I wrong here in these first couple weeks? It just seems like the opponents, like Mike Den brought Kendrick. He was at LSU last year. They had the best offense in the country, second best offense ever at that school. They had the Heisman winner. They had 3 first-round picks. They've got a future first-round tackle, maybe 2 of them. No one could stop them. This year, you know where he is? He's at Notre Dame. They can't move the ball. They popped 2 long runs against A&M. They They did nothing really against Northern Illinois. We'll talk about this in a second, but Mike Denbrock didn't forget to coach. So are you encouraged by, like, hey, as this season keeps going, we're going to see this offense where Colin Klein kind of figures out his personnel and his talent, what he truly has to work with, and each week we see this thing get a little more opened up?
Each week is you growing. Like, he's growing as well as the players are growing. So each week we're going to see something different, something better, something that we want to see and something that we expect to see. I feel like once he gets confidence and the players get confidence and you mix it together, it's just going to be a great combination.
When that you talking about the D-line, are we getting, Sean, dudes that – I just feel like the first two games, I mentioned Denbrock, both coaches have kind of been like, we're just going to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand as quickly as possible. Notre Dame, we got this young O-line. We got a quarterback that's not a great thrower. He's a runner. McNeese, we're just trying not to get people killed. I feel like starting this week, and you said SEC play, teams are going to say, we're going to run what we run. Well, and come get us if you can.
I think teams start off with a game plan of this quick game, get that ball out of your hands. We have great pass rushers. They know they don't want to get their quarterback hurt, right? But they'll eventually start running what they want to run as long as the game dictates that. So I feel like on first and second down, these big guys, they have to work harder in order to put the other team in a bad situation. They have to put them in third and long. It doesn't just happen. You don't just fall into 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 13, right? On first and second down, this D-line has to work hard to get us into those, 3rd and long situations so they can really show off and show their talent and have these big gaps and have one-on-ones on the edge. I think it's all about them. They have to put themselves in the position. If you let a team inchworm down the field and get, it's 1st and 10, now it's 2nd and 6, now it's 3rd and 3, you're not going to get many pass rushing opportunities. You're not going to get forced fumbles. You're not going to get to make these exciting plays that we all love to see. So I think that them working harder on first and 6, and the whole defense, right? But the way that I see it, our defensive line leads our defense. So them working harder on first and second down to eat what they kill.
And Kendrick, what do you need to see? What's your winning formula this week?
Connor on the move, Connor being comfortable, the receivers getting open, and the OC just having confidence in what he's calling and expecting the guys to go out there and execute it. I feel like if they get on the same page, they get confident. Like he said, each drive you gain confidence, you see what the defense is giving you, and they make those adjustments. I think we'll be fine.
I was thinking about something the other day, and if you guys are now 10 years removed, and how many years out now? Are you 4 or 5? If you were back and a young player right now in year one under Mike Elko, and you're young Sean Porter, you're young Kendrick Rogers, like, what would you tell yourself today that would have made you a better football player while you were at A&M?
You got to get it. I mean, have fun with it. This isn't given to you every day. I mean, we all heard it growing up, but hopefully I would understand what I know now, that it isn't given to you. So take it full advantage, work hard, bust my ass, and just be grateful for the opportunity.
Something that would have made me better as a football player, I would just say the discipline, right? Up my discipline. And
just like you're in everything?
In everything, in my life and lifestyle, right? It's just like recognize that you only have one opportunity at that and max it out, right? So I feel like I did a good job. I worked out hard. I did all that, ran hard, did all that stuff, right? But I could have been in here for another 2-3 hours a day grinding, right? And that adds up. It's like money, right? It's like, it's compound interest. So it all adds up. So I would just say max it out. That would be my advice to myself.
All right. Well,
I agree.
Let's meander on to college football, and I wanted to start in the SEC. There's not a lot going on this weekend. Bama's going up to Wisconsin. I don't.
That'll be a decent game.
It should be decent.
Yeah. I mean, I would have thought Bama would blow them out, but we saw,
I think so.
saw that game the other day in South Florida.
They're still trying to figure themselves out.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else.
On the road. Mm-hmm. I do think Milroe and them will figure it out. My other question. In the SEC, you see where game day is going. Have you seen that?
Where?
South Carolina.
Okay.
They got
LSU at South Carolina.
Big game.
That is an interesting game because I think South Carolina beat Kentucky 31-6. And I know the folks in Lexington have had enough of Mark Stoops, which is pretty ironic as we're sitting here today. But Kentucky doesn't typically lose 31-6. They're usually a tough. You played against them. They're tough. You did.
We did.
Yeah, Jimbo's first year.
A tough out.
Yeah, they're usually a tough out. I mean, Georgia's had a hard time with them the last couple of years, but 31-6 caught my point of saying all this is LSU's got to go to South Carolina. If they lose that game and start 1-2, they gave up 21 to Nicholls State. Speaking of that type team, last week. If they go up there and lose, I was trying to tell somebody today, the shit is going to hit the fan in Baton Rouge, despite the fact that Brian Kelly won the West in his first year. Despite that they've had 3 national titles. They got no patience there. The way they lost to USC, 5 openers in a row, and if they go and drop one at South Carolina, because to me, Sean, LSU fans think they are above losing to South Carolina because they typically have been. I think the pressure will go way up. They're not that for him to get fired, but I think that's always been like a uneasy, kind of weird fit.
Right.
They don't really want him there, but they know he's good, and he doesn't really want to be there, but he knows he can win. Like, it'll be if they that's a big game for LSU.
I think that's one of those things where everybody loves it because it's like this hotbed of a football, kingdom down there in LSU, and then you got this great coach who's a great mind and runs great plays and has great scheme, right? And you think those two things together will be a good fit, but it doesn't always work like that. It's kind of like fitting a square peg in a round hole, I don't think he's a great fit. I agree with what you said last week that Brian Kelly's not a great fit down there in LSU.
He's definitely not.
Yeah, those folks down there, they're like a different type of swag.
Yeah.
A different type of that Cajun swag is a little bit different.
They definitely like that more.
They love the origin. So, yeah, I agree. I don't think that he's a good fit. I think that he's definitely going to be in the hot seat sooner than later. As soon as they lose a couple of these big games, drop a couple of big games, he'll be getting hot down there.
And don't get me wrong, A&M needs to win the Swamp. We're done talking about the Aggies right now. We're talking about LSU needs to win that football game. What did you see this past weekend, Kendrick, that caught your eye the most around the country?
I was honestly surprised with Arkansas, the first half.
Yeah.
First half Arkansas. They impressed me with the offense. The defense played well. But that second half, it went back to old Arkansas. So it didn't concern me as much, but I was still impressed with how they performed in the first half.
Yeah, that one, and by the way, y'all probably haven't seen, have you seen Mike Gundy just going off the rails this week with the media?
No.
He's hilarious.
He does that a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, but they asked him, hey, why Kendrick Rogers from Division III Lemoyne or whatever little college he came from, what made you guys recruit him? He's like, well, a lot of the guys we wanted, quite frankly, we couldn't afford, and we could afford him. So we thought he had a good body type. He could do some things in our system, and we could afford him, and he would love to make that kind of money, so we thought he would come here. He's just so honest, and it's so true. But, I'd love to have gotten this guy, but we couldn't, so we got him. He's wild. But I was saying that because Gundy just has done – nobody talks about the job he does there in Stillwater, and games like that, he just wins.
Steady. He's real steady.
Eddie. Yeah.
Steady Eddie, yep.
The other one that there's a couple that obviously really stand out. One thing that I keep looking at that's interesting to me is Oregon kicked a walk-off field goal to beat Boise. They barely beat Idaho the week before. I've just still got my eye on that one over there. Are they an actual contender? Because they don't look like it yet. But they've got the players, and they're playing in that new Big Ten. That one was interesting to me, but nothing caught the attention as much as what happened in South Bend.
Right, that's my pick. I mean, watching Northern Illinois University go up there to South Bend and whip up on Notre Dame and get a historic win for their program up there is just nuts to me, man. Especially the week after they walked in here to Kyle Field and beat us the way that they did. Yeah. It's a little bit telling, right?
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing.
It's pretty disappointing. It's a little bit telling. Now we know that Notre Dame is definitely not that top tier team like we talked about them last week.
Yeah.
But we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Maybe they just dropped the ball on one.
We know how college football goes. Yep. It can be up, down, all over the map. But what I took away from it is they popped the one big play that was just probably shouldn't have happened, the 83-yard catch that, kind of was the difference there and gave them that lead. But the reality is, okay, so Notre Dame's, we didn't think they were a top 5 team. We thought they were like a top 10 is what we talked about. They're not. And you can't be if you can't score. And I thought they could outscore Northern Illinois and a lot of teams, but man,
I think so.
Look, the reality is they look like they're going to have offensive issues all year. At least when you watched A&M against Notre Dame, you were going, man, this quarterback we've seen play a million times better, and he's really struggling tonight. They don't have that hope certificate. You watch them and you go, what can they do? They got some nice running backs. But to lose to Northern Illinois, how much does that concern you about this football team? Or do you just chalk it up? Because to me, I'm way more worried about whether they can beat Florida and Arkansas. That's going to tell me a lot more than whatever happened in game 1, season 1, under a coach against what I still think is a really good defense. How much does that concern you?
I don't have that much concern because, like we said earlier, they still got to figure each other out. Mm-hmm. And week by week, we'll see a different team. Hopefully, we'll see a different team, a different scheme from offense and defense. So I'm really not too concerned yet. But telling on what happens this weekend, it could be a different story next week.
Yeah, I think
it's always extremely concerning when one of those ants that we're supposed to kill with a sledgehammer comes in and beats us. So
yeah, I mean, we didn't get beat by the ant.
Not us, but I'm saying
Notre Dame got beat by the ant who beat you.
Right.
And to me, even if Notre Dame would have won that game with that field goal at the end, we're going to hit a 62-yard, but say it was 52. Notre Dame gained 10 more yards, had maybe one more play, gained 10 yards, kicked it. It really doesn't change anything. You have to go, I think what you have to do is just look at it and go, we're not playing good football yet. We're not a good football team yet. And then the question becomes, can you be? I think it's just too early to start telling that, but I think you start finding out this weekend.
Back to the drawing board.
Speaking of, one team that's going back to the drawing board are the Michigan Wolverines. No Harbaugh, no quarterback, no defense, but they're going back to the drawing board. Steve Sarkisian is like right now on that drawing board, like that gif of all the numbers and the guys sitting there. Mm-hmm. That's what Sark seems to be doing offensively right now. Talk to me about that. And give me credit. You texted me.
I'm not giving you credit.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to. First and foremost, we got to give you your credit, right? Because last week you called exactly this, man. You said that they were going to go in there and blow the doors off those guys. Exactly what they did, man. Michigan looked lost out there. They looked like they lost the head coach and lost the quarterback and lost the whole defense. And everybody's fresh and young and bright-eyed, and we don't know what to do out here. Yeah. Texas went in there and torched them, man. They did exactly what they were supposed to do up there in Ann Arbor, and that's how the cookie crumbled that day.
And they moved up to 2. And I know they look unstoppable now. It is a long season.
They ain't unstoppable. The SEC is coming.
Yeah.
Just like the
I'm
SEC
just
is
like,
coming.
who gets them? And I'm trying to think about it. And obviously Georgia goes there. And that's obviously a whole different level. They got Arkansas, you're right, everybody has an off week.
That's the thing. We walked into the SEC and walked into the SEC West with Alabama and LSU and all the big guns, right? They're going into the East. All they got over there is Georgia. You take down Georgia,
but they're not in the East. They just play a bunch of them. They play Kentucky, Vandy, Georgia.
They're in the West.
There's not that anymore.
It's just
there's no East and West.
No, it's all.
So all the teams just.
So you want to hear something funny?
Okay.
You want to hear something funny? There's let's say that I think one of the polls, the top 7 teams are all in the SEC right now. You know how many of them? So if Texas is out of there, there's 6, right? You know how many of those 6 Texas plays?
1.
They play Georgia. They don't play Alabama. They don't play Ole Miss, which, God, I would love to watch that game.
That'll be a good game.
Kiffin versus Sark, Dart versus Ewers.
Yeah, it'll be a good game.
Please don't let me have to watch that in the SEC title game. I would love to see that in a playoff. But they don't play Ole Miss. They don't play Bama. They don't play LSU. They don't play Missouri, who's in the top 10 now. And they don't play Tennessee, who I think looks really good.
It's got an easy
It's
schedule.
amazing. That's an incredible, and by the way, guys, that's not a first-year schedule. That's a first and a second-year schedule. They get that year 1 and year 2.
Just flip it, home and away.
They just flip it.
Yeah.
So, Texas, what do they look like the best team in the country to you, or do you still give that to Georgia?
I don't think Texas is the best team in the country. I mean, I think it'd be hard pressed to get me to say that up here.
Yeah. I'm still going Georgia because I think
they got a good quarterback.
Anytime you doubt Georgia, they will
surprise
choke
you.
a team out.
They'll
They play a big game. It's 10-7 at halftime, like they did to Clemson. So I will have Georgia 1, but I do think Texas, just eyeball test, I like them more than what I see from Ohio State through a couple weeks.
I think if you got a quarterback, you got a chance, man. Those guys got a quarterback over there. So
They got a quarterback. They got swag. They got confidence. They got a coach that has the swag and confidence. Like that just builds a program.
Yeah, no.
But is it a little too soon for them, right? I feel like all of this little pot of gumbo that they just made, it was quick.
Way too quick.
It's a quick pot of gumbo. I don't know if this one is long
It's the
lasting.
pre-SEC hype right now.
Right. We're not sure about this yet. We got to see it.
That schedule helps them in that regard, but all it takes is one
blunder
off week. So let's say Georgia, let's say you lose a close game to Georgia, and you're right there with them, and you earn everybody's respect, and it's like, okay, you might meet them again in the SEC title game, but then a couple weeks later, you stub your toe against somebody, whether it's OU, whether it's on the road at Arkansas, or, you just, who knows? I think the big thing they get, though, is they get Florida at home, guaranteed win. They get Kentucky at home, guaranteed win. They get Mississippi State at home, guaranteed win. Their road games in the SEC are Kyle Field, but then it's like, it's Kyle Field, it's Vandy.
That ain't that tough.
I don't even know what the third one is. It's not, Arkansas, which is tough, but they're so much more talented than Arkansas. That's it. There's no, so they don't go to the Swamp. They don't go deal with the Cowbells. They don't go to the Grove. They don't go to Tuscaloosa. They don't go to Auburn, which you guys know.
The Cowbells is tough.
Yeah.
I think the Cowbells is pretty.
Yeah, so they're missing those. That's where you get got. Right. Y'all know that. You guys have won and lost. You've had teams come in here that are better than you guys that you beat because of this atmosphere. So, I don't know. Was there any other takeaway for you this weekend? Those were the...
Just to go back to my takeaway from last week, Colorado and Shadur over there, they're looking a bit shaky.
How many times did he get sacked?
A lot.
That O-line, it's like they've just forgotten to recruit O-line and defense, or teach it, or recruit it.
I thought that was his big focus. That's what he said last year.
And I know that he's getting hit a lot. And I know that there's a lot of bad stuff going on out there. But there's a way to react to stuff when you're the leader, when you're the quarterback, when everything is on you, and you have to be the face of this franchise right here. I don't like how he reacts all the time, man.
So. I think he's got an incredible arm. He's got all the measurables, yards. I just think every week and every time he does something like that, you were a scout. What are you thinking right now?
I don't like it. We'll
So,
see. I mean, it's a long season,
Yeah.
but you can't have 2 years straight of you out there whining and moaning and making all these big gestures. And, I think people look at you as a great leader and somebody who's going to step in day one and lead their franchise.
Along those lines, Matt Rule, I like what he's doing up there. I think we might have mentioned him last week, but that dude's a ball coach, and what he did at Baylor, I know it didn't happen for him at Carolina, but the NFL saw enough in him to say, hey, we want to hire this guy. I watched some clips from their guys before and after the game, and you guys would look like, I'm just telling you, and I want to see more of that here starting this week. but those dudes had a dog mentality. I watched a couple interviews with guys before and after that Nebraska kind of put out, and they were just like, yeah, he's the corner. It's like, yeah, Travis Hunter's running his mouth before the game. I just, all right. He said, and I think he said, you're dealing with a dog today.
The confidence.
He goes, by the second quarter, he didn't say shit. And that type of stuff is what, I want to see our guys start getting that level of confidence, and not even confidence.
I like our DBs a lot.
I do too.
On that note, our DBs have been, they've been playing strong. They had a little bend but don't break type of mentality. I like them. I just, I want to continue to see more playmaking out of the whole defense. But I do like our DBs.
Let's wrap it up quick. NFL. Anything you loved, hated this weekend?
I love to see Baker. I love to see Baker, even though I'm not a Baker guy. And if you know me, you know I'm not a Baker guy. But I got to give Baker his flowers. Baker did a great job down there. I love to see him throwing those darts to Mike Evans. I like to see how much he trusts Mike Evans. And I saw a little clip of him going, if they don't double team him, I'm throwing it to Mike. So, that's how you got to look at it when you got one of the all-time greats playing with you. And I like to see Baker doing that down there. So, congrats to Baker.
My Saints, they came out.
Oh, man.
They impressed. Hopefully we can keep this.
Well, speaking of the Panthers, that was.
I didn't even catch that. Who played quarterback?
What you mean? Who played?
Carr. Okay.
But it was wasn't it like 30-6 at one point?
Yeah, it was bad.
You don't see that many blowouts in the NFL. Like every week there's like two of them.
It's close. It's always close.
My salute was obvious, just kind of like you are with Mike, and I love seeing Mike do that too, but it was Dan Campbell. Two teams, Dan, they had to fight that one. Matt Stafford wanted to go into.
Yeah, he wanted it bad.
He wanted to go in there, and when he lost that playoff game last year, this might be his last time to go there. He's getting up there, and he was dealing. But that was a huge. And the way they won it, did you see the way they run? They basically just said,
"Pound it, pound it,
can't
pound it."
Stop
all
this.
the way. That was fun football.
That's Dan Campbell football.
Yeah,
that's his brand of football, though. That's how you do it.
And I thought they. I would say continued to add to that identity. And they got a linebacker over there, too, by the way.
Young guy.
That Anzalone guy, the long, blonde-haired dude.
He's not young. He's an older guy.
Yeah, that's right. He's probably been in the league.
He's been there for a minute.
8 years,
8 or 10 years.
Where'd he go to college?
I don't know. Maybe Iowa State or something?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think you just think he looks like an Iowa State guy.
It's a random guess.
It might actually be.
He looks like Iowa State guy.
Well, I'll say this. He definitely looks Big Ten, but I don't think he is.
Sure.
I'm going to look it up after the show.
Yeah, look it up. Where's he from, guys? Anzalone, Zane. Where's Anzalone from? Oh, that is true.
Is that true? Did you look that up?
100%. He's a Gator, yeah.
That's far
from it. Far from it.
He's so far from Iowa State. That's right. He is far.
Reminds me of AJ Klein.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing to me, I want to personally give a big to the New England Patriots and Gerard Mayo, my guy. I've known him forever. I don't know him anymore. I knew him a long time ago. But I'm pissed. I'm pissed, guys. I'm in one of these eliminator pools, and I saw an article about it. More than half the country's out. You play these games.
What are we talking about?
So say like 40 of us.
Gambling right now?
Yeah. So say like 40 of us get together. Everybody puts in $100. Mm-hmm. Winner takes all. So it's the last man standing. You're gonna win $4,000.
I like this.
Well, so I'm in it with a bunch of people, and a lot of us picked the by far the biggest spread this week, and the one game that seemed the easiest was Joe Burrow and the Bengals going up in the first game under Mayo. I don't even know. I guess it's Jacoby Brissett, maybe.
Yeah.
Is there a quarterback?
Yep.
Goes up there to New England, and Burrow and the Bengals, who you think are going to have this big bounce back here, they go up there and lose to the Patriots. Half the country that plays in that Eliminator Challenge out.
Are you one of them?
By 3 o'clock on Sunday. Like literally the first game of the year out.
But that's the best game that the Patriots have played as a team since Brady left,
true.
probably.
No doubt. So good for Mayo, good for the Patriots, bad for all of us. All right, Sean, we'll do a little defensive talk. Kendrick, we'll see you in a few minutes for dinner.
All righty.
That don't take 6 hours.
All right.
That was the LiucciCast with me.